Welcome to Rooted Revival, where truth takes root and generational change begins. I'm Michelle Lynch, functional health practitioner, founder of Well House, and mother of 7. Here we expose the lies, reclaim what matters, and build what lasts. For you, your family, and the legacy you're called to carry. Let's get into it. What if the future of skincare isn't found in a lab, but in the dirt? Hear me out. Today, I sat down with the founder of Kalos Co, a brand that's not just clean, but rooted in integrity, regenerative practices, and the kind of back-to-the-basics brilliance the skincare industry doesn't want you to know about. We talked about soil-based skincare, sourcing standards that actually mean something, and why medical grade might be the most overrated phrase in the wellness world right now. If you've ever struggled with skin issues or felt like natural products didn't cut it for you, then this is not one to miss. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, hi. Today we are joined with Kaitlin DeGroot. She is from Kalos Co. And I'm just so excited to have you, Kaitlin. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us and chatting about, I'm sure we'll talk about a lot today, but thanks for coming on and chatting about whatever we end up talking about today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thanks so much for having me, Michelle.
Yeah. Well, what I want to do first and foremost, the thing that I love about these podcasts is having consumers get to know the products, the people behind them, the intention, the care, what goes on behind the scenes. For me, I want to set the tone with that on the front end and kind of talk about you and your history and how you came to be who you are today and how that evolved to start Kalos Co. So tell me a little bit about, just tell me how you grew up, what, how you got to be who you are today.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm Kaitlin. I grew up in the Central Valley of California, surrounded by agriculture, and just grew up with a passion and love for that. I grew up in a really great family, really great Christian home, and I have always kind of struggled with my skin. It's been this long journey, and I just had a lot of appointments and doctors telling me, you're basically never not going to be able to use these really intense product you're never not going to be able to use these, like if you want your skin to be clear. And so I did. I was a teenager, I didn't want like pimples all over me. I just was insecure, and so I used it, and I felt like it totally worked, but as soon as I stopped it, it wouldn't work. I had tried.
What did you use? Did you use Accutane?
I never did Accutane. My siblings did have to do it. I would say my skin wasn't quite to that level, enough to make me insecure, but not to that level, and I also was a little bit more resistant to it, I would say. Like, even if my mom kind of suggested it, I was a little bit more like, it's not that bad. Like, I don't think we need to do that. But I was on like minocycline, like a few different other oral things, and then like heavy, like prescription benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid. And yes, all those things are so intense, so drying. Ultimately, yes, they clear up the acne, but I don't feel like they were getting to the root cause of it. And so, yeah, it was just something that I struggled with. And then I felt like going into my adult years, I felt like I should be done with this. Like, I'm not a teenager anymore, but I felt like specifically after pregnancy, it would always come back. When I was pregnant, I always had great skin. And then my hormones seemed to go back, because I've heard like when you're pregnant, your hormones kind of self-regulate in a way. And then my hormones always seem to just like tank after being pregnant. And so I have 4 kids, and so I went through that process 4 times, and I feel like each time I recognized it a little bit more. Then I feel like that's around the same time this like buzz of like getting to the root cause of things and like getting your blood work done and figuring out like where you are off. That became a little bit more mainstream. I would say I definitely didn't seek that out. I was behind the curve, I guess. And so, but I felt like very much in a place where all of a sudden my ears were hearing it, whereas before didn't really feel like it was for me. And now, because I wouldn't say I'm like a woo-woo person, and that sounded very woo-woo. Now I'm like, no, this totally makes sense. There's something going on.
How many years ago was that? Like when you said that you started to...
That was after my 3rd child. And then I went on I got my blood work done for the first time just by my primary care physician. And of course, everything looked fine. And so I got sent away like feeling discouraged. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just crazy. Maybe it's not that. And then I pursued it further. And I was starting to work with a doctor. I had to get my blood work done on day 1 and day 30 of my cycle. And I went in, or day 15 of my cycle, sorry. And I went on my day 15 and I was waiting for my day 1 to come, and it never came, and ended up that I was pregnant. I was not expecting to get pregnant that time. And so I was like, okay, I guess this hormone journey is getting pushed like on pause for a second. And because then it takes so much time, I feel like, for like you're pregnant for 9 months and then your hormones are all over the place, like right after having a baby. And so then probably around 9 months after that is when I started pursuing it again. And I found out that after doing like a lot of digging that I had like high cortisol, I have struggled with my weight, significantly through after pregnancy. And then during pregnancy, it seems to level out. So my OB had told me, she's like, I think that there's probably something to that. And so just was able to figure out a lot through that. I'm so grateful for my doctor now. And so, but
is that an allopathic doctor or functional?
So I wouldn't say she's functional. Functional medicine doctors are very expensive. So I would say at that time, it was just not something that was in the cards for us. But I just wanted to get the really like thorough blood work. And also in that time we switched to like a health share thing. So that gave us a little bit more money in our pocket to do what we wanted to do for healthcare and not necessarily what insurance was telling us that we could do. And so yeah, the doctor that I chose, I also live in a small town. So I did consider, just doing something virtually. But I really wanted to be able to visit someone. And so I feel like she's a great middle ground for me. She is a medical professional, but her clinic is not, like, insurance is not involved in it. And so she can kind of still do whatever she would like to do. And she can really like treat you as a patient and not worry about everything else.
I was gonna say, it's surprising to me when I hear someone that goes to an MD that is happy with going to an MD. Yeah. However, you just said something that's really important, and you said that she is not bound to insurance regulations. Yeah. And I feel like there was a podcast that I listened to with Joe Rogan like a long time ago, where he had an insurance, like a guy who like his life was being in the insurance world for health insurance. And it was so eye-opening. And I wish I could remember his name, but you would find it if you went back, whoever's listening. But like if you go back and you go to his podcast and you type in like insurance guy on the Joe Rogan podcast, you'd find it. But it's so eye-opening. I already knew this. It's like things that I know that that there's regulations there. But like, anyways, I thought that was like a side note that I wanted to throw in, that how much the insurance companies regulate what these doctors can do. And they're like bound by them, like their hands are tied. So yeah, so it's interesting that you said you found a good one, because I was like, that's interesting. And then you said, but she doesn't use the insurance. And I'm like, oh, okay, there it is.
She splits her time between like a normal like clinic, and that's how I met her. And then she had said, she's like, I actually decided to start my own little practice to do the things that I can't really fit within the constraints of this. So I think her hope is to full-time do the other one. And I've sent plenty of people her way now. So I hope that she's able to. But yeah, it's been a night and day experience. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. So you were in the midst of all of that, and you got with her, this doctor, and she ended up did she end up finding the root cause of what was happening? You started to make some changes. What did it look like moving forward?
Yeah, so I will say I was like, in a way, disappointed, because I was waiting for this like major red flag. There were little things here and there, but really my weight was like the source of everything. And so she said, she's like, look, I can put you on, like this or that. And she gave me a bunch of recommendations for some supplements. But she said, yes, your thyroid is a little bit off. But I don't want to be so quick to put you on replacement for that. I think that if we can help you like heal your whole body, and if you can start like figuring out what works for you to lose weight, then a lot of that is going to like fix itself. And that was just my scenario. Weight is not always the issue for everybody, but for me, I felt like it was. And so yeah, I felt like I had tried things in the beginning, the traditional, things to try. And so now I'm doing just like whole foods and, like really just back to the basics. And it has like healed so much. I actually have a blood work appointment later this week. So I'm so excited to see where things are now. So this is a semi-recent journey. My skincare journey kind of started before this. So yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of that right now, but it's going really well. I'm so grateful for everything and just having like some hope. Whereas I feel like before it was just like, oh, this is kind of just how I am now, I guess. And I just feel like, no, that's not really how it was meant to be or supposed to be. Sorry. But
I feel like so many people, and I guess I don't know if I'm the exception to the rule. I don't know if I'm the rare bird or if I'm like becoming the norm actually, but I feel like more people are waking up to my theory and idea that, and it's not really my theory. It's one that I think that just like people have caught on to, is that my belief is that there is nothing like outside of getting into a traumatic car accident where you need a surgeon to help, like, amputate a leg or, something very serious. I don't believe in the medical intervention the way people think, well, medicine comes in handy in certain, and I'm like, I am not under that belief, mostly because I am so like, the more that I've zoned in on God and like what God has done and what he has created, I truly, truly, in my heart of hearts, the depths of my soul, believe that God gave us everything that we need in order to heal from the earth that he created.
yeah,
That is my belief. So, using, herbal tinctures and using food as medicine and honestly, your own frequencies that you create within your world, within your own mindset and perception is a whole other conversation. For me, that's my belief. And I think it's worth people at least questioning and allowing themselves to feel open to that space. I think people are so like, and I'm glad that your doctor wasn't one where she was quick to be like, hey, let's get you on this thyroid med, because I feel like so many people, you end up putting yourself in this position where you get on, and I see it all the time, where you get on one med, the next thing you know, you're getting on another and then another and another. And like, do people ever question like, wow, what would have happened if I had never gotten on the one to begin with? Was it really that necessary? Is there anything that I could have done that would have put me in a much better position to heal?
totally.
And my belief is yes, I believe that you don't need them. I think that you can heal without them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that yours is a story of where you didn't get put in that situation and that you're learning. You said get back to the basics. And for me, I'm like,
100%.
yes, we need more of the getting back to the basics, which actually is a really good thing to kind of circle to. And we might, go off trail a little bit here and there, but it's a really good place to insert one of your products that is one that caught my eye. Obviously, it's one that I feel I can share now, because by the time this releases, it'll be out, is why we have your product in the Well House box. Because I feel like, talk about going back to the basics. We have been, and for me, I talk so much with Well House of like, everyone's so disconnected from earth, from community, from the things that really matter. And if we're talking about disconnectedness from the earth, I don't know how many people nowadays actually ever truly get like their hands dirty with soil, like actually get that good, like, the good stuff that you're getting from the soil. So tell us a little bit about, let's rewind and then you tell us about that. But tell me a little bit about how Kalos became what it is today, how you got started, the idea, what that looks like. And then I want to talk about that product.
Perfect. Okay. So, Kalos actually started as the brand Bells. That's my daughter's name. And it meant beautiful. And I just thought, this is like, it just seemed fitting. And so when I started Bells back in the day, I was just making it in my kitchen. But the passion behind it started again with my skincare journey. I felt like throughout these, really harsh products that I had used, I really desired to use something that was better for my skin and better for my overall health. And that wasn't going to be so drying. But every time I tried, I would say, but I was trying the natural, very greenwashed version of natural products. And they seemingly just always made things so much worse. And so I just felt like that's not something that I'd ever be able to do. So fast forward to a time where I felt like natural, there were other brands that were coming on the scene that were truly natural and using things that weren't so irritating and weren't combining natural ingredients with fragrance and synthetic ingredients. They truly were exactly what they were saying they were. And I loved this concept. So I had tried a couple of them and my skin was reacting really well. But I guess fast forward a few years before that, my dad had a business partner in Texas and he was harvesting this probiotic. These guys are two farmers, so they don't really know. This term was new on the scene. And so when they discovered, hey, this is what this is, I had always thought wow, this there's a place for this in skincare, and I really only saw it being done through a couple other brands that, again, were combining it with synthetic ingredients. And I felt like you were losing out on the benefits of what this product was. And this one was unique in that it wasn't engineered. And so in my opinion, it's coming to my like more recent attention that this is like a great way to ground yourself. This is coming straight from the soil. And I feel like hypochlorous acid is making this, is very popular right now. And that's really popular, like for clearing your skin and stuff, because it's killing bacteria. And so yes, it's effective, but this is quite the opposite of that. This is adding so much to your skin, so much good stuff that it's not letting the bad stuff wreak havoc on your face. So yeah, once I was putting all these pieces together, I just felt like, wow, this is like, I feel like this would be so good. And so I started putting it on my skin and noticed like immediate, like dramatic changes. And so yeah, that's where the passion started. So our products are mainly skincare, a lot of body care also. And when you create a moisturizer that doesn't have water in it, and in order to combine water and oil to create your typical lotion, you need some type of emulsifier. And so, and emulsifying waxes are typically made out of plastic or petroleum.
Wait, Kaitlin.
Oh yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Do you hear that noise?
I do. It sounds like it's coming from you. Like it's not a sound that's
I just want to make sure, and I can get this clipped out. I just want to make sure that the sound is good so we can hear everything that you're saying.
That's better.
Okay, good. I don't know.
It just went away.
Okay, so go ahead. What I want you to do is like start back. Sorry, and
okay. No, that's okay.
Whether this gets clipped up or not, I'm going to try to have it clipped. But either way, like start back to where you were talking about with the soil and the farmers, and then you started using it. So start with it. You started using it.
Okay, so I started using this product for my skin because I felt like, if it's just good for you to take internally, I feel like topically it would have a lot of benefits as well. And so I started using it in my skincare regimen that I was already doing, and I saw like dramatic results. And so I felt like this is so great. Like I have to tell others about this. So, that's where the passion started. And, again, it started as a baby little brand. And the way that I decided to incorporate it was that I was not comfortable with the idea of creating your traditional lotion. Lotions are an emulsification between some type of liquid like water or flour, water or something, and fat. And in order to get those two ingredients to combine together, you have to use a synthetic emulsifier. And they're often made out of plastic or petroleum. And that was just something I was not willing to compromise on. And so we decided, why not make this like a two-step process? So it's basically a deconstructed lotion. So the idea is that you would spray it on, and then while your face is still damp or your body is still damp, you rub in either one of our balms or an oil, but the combination of the two is like so harmonious. Like we've seen such great results from like eczema, rosacea, psoriasis, really bad razor burn. It's just, this concept of adding so much good back onto your skin, especially after you've cleansed it and you've stripped everything away, to add life back onto it. In my opinion, it's like the definition of regenerative, to add life like back onto your skin after it's been stripped away. So others' results have been just incredible. And I'm so excited.
So when you say that, okay, so this concept is a little bit, okay, is there any lotion out there, typical lotion, that is done properly, or you're saying it can't be done that way?
No, in my opinion, it cannot be done that way. There are a few, I would say. There's one product on the market that I'm interested in. It's somewhat new. It is olive based. But a lot of things are something based. So I don't truly know how close to olive it is. So it's something that I'm looking into and investigating, because ultimately the feel of a lotion is everyone's preference. Because people feel like balms or oils are a little bit too heavy for them. If you use them when your face or body is still hydrated from either bathing or washing your face, they absorb really well. And so in my opinion, if you do it properly, it really does feel really nice, and it gives you that like lotion feel. It absorbs like perfectly. But sometimes like you didn't just shower and your legs are really dry and you just want to put on some lotion. And so I get it. It's way more convenient. The feel of it is like a little bit more, some would say, luxurious. So I would love to be able to offer it. But we won't until we know for sure that there's something that's up to brand standards.
Don't you guys have like a
No, we only have balms, or our body butter is just whipped. So it gives that a little bit
that's
of
what
a
I was
light,
thinking of.
airy. Yeah, it's a little bit more lighter and airy. But nope, there's nothing else in that. That one's one of our, it's like a singular ingredient. It's just tallow that's been whipped, and has some essential oils in it if you choose. But no, that's one thing people ask for all the time, that people are so interested in tallow and like bioidentical fats, but they want a lotion. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I wish I could give that to you, but it's not in the cards for us right now. Maybe someday if something new gets discovered, then maybe, but that's the thing about, using like truly natural ingredients. Really nothing brand new is going to surface, in my opinion. Everything that we use has been around for a really long time. So
I'm not, I'm trying to think, like, I don't think I have lotions in my house, actually.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I do are like, I think of it as lotion in my mind, because for me, it's
Right.
like a substitute. But like when you said, like, I say, oh, don't you have a cream? You're like, no, we have our body butter or whatever you call it. For
Yeah.
me, like, that's just like what I guess I have
Yes.
so many of those, but those are ones that I prefer anyways, mostly because my skin is so dry all the time.
Right.
So I'm
It
like,
really is superior, and then you're not paying for the water, because they're not just putting water in it. They're putting fillers, they're putting alcohols. Because in order to keep those ingredients harmoniously together, they have to put a lot more than just the synthetic wax. Like, there's a lot of extra stuff. And then in addition to that, when you add fat and water together, you have to use a pretty intense preservative to keep everything happy.
yeah.
So I just feel like by avoiding that, you're just avoiding all the stuff you don't need. Like, just don't need that.
What's the craziest thing? This is putting you on the spot with a question, but what's the craziest thing that you've learned? Because obviously everyone starts, like when you started your journey, it was like learning through experience. And then I think that once someone learns through experience enough, they might be like, for me, for example, I was like, I learned enough through my own health journey that I was like, I like this. This is enjoyable for me. And then you start going down the rabbit hole of like taking courses and different education things. And you start really going into the world. That's how my experience was. And for you, obviously, you started with the experience with your own skin. And then you're like, I find this interesting. This is fascinating. And then you're like learning more about it.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing that you've learned, like, as you've gotten into this world of skincare that has like, that you're like, people probably don't know this, but it like blew my mind? Is there anything that you're just like, this is crazy?
Yeah. Okay. So something's coming to mind, because it's something that I was taught that, because everyone uses, well, not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but face wash is always like liquid, and it's gentler for you. And I sought out, I was like, I want to make a liquid face wash because I do like facial care. That's, but that would be at the top of the list of things that I would like to offer. And after doing a ton of digging, I realized like these face washes are made out of, the way that they foam on your skin are surfactants, and they're claimed to be gentler, but they are so far from like raw or natural. And so I figured out pretty quickly, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that naturally. And so I rerouted, and that's when we created our milk bar. I know that bar soap is not as convenient. And it gets a bad rep that it's really intense and really drying. Ours is not. I love ours so much. But I feel like since then now I'm messing around with how to make a Castile-based face wash. But yeah, I was just shocked. I'm like, okay, so surfactants is what's making it foamy. I would say in general, just my eyes opening to when I was starting to make things, because I really wasn't trained in this anyway, other than I don't even know how many hours of courses or videos, YouTube. And so information overload, just trying to figure out, okay, because I started out with just 3 products. So that was really easy. And then I would be like, I want to make a lotion. Very quickly realized I can't do that. I'm so confused. Like, what are these people, and then after that, I wanted to make the face wash. I'm like, wait, I can't do that either. And then I just realized, wow, like it felt like limiting at the time. And then I felt like, no, like this is the niche. This is the market. There's a lot of the other stuff. There's plenty of, foaming face washes. I don't really need to compete with that. I'm creating like a new market of people who have a different standard. So So yeah, and my standards at that time had changed and were already changed. And so that's why I knew like, oh no, we can't do that. So I just feel like in general, I was shocked to see how much is in skincare and that doesn't need to be there, that has like warnings left and right as I'm looking at these ingredients and I'm like, I don't know why anyone thought that belonged in your face cream. I mean, it's actually astounding.
I love that you said that. I love that you explained it the way that you just did, because what I received from that was something that obviously I'm just like, I'm focused on. I'm so hyper focused on right now with Well House. But you, through all of it, could have very easily at any point said, I want to make a lotion or I want to make a face wash, and been like, oh, it takes this. I guess I'm going to have to like bend a little bit. I guess I'm going to have to bend the rules and do it this way. But you were like, no, I'm not doing it that way. And you're thinking that like and you mentioned the word where it's like at first, you felt limited, but then think about the world that's opening up that so many people want and crave, and they need that because it hasn't been uncovered the way that you're doing it. And I feel like that is, that's really special. And we need more people like that. We need more brands like that, people that are thinking outside the box. And my least favorite thing is when someone tells me it can't be done. I'm like, that's not true. I was like, the way to figure, it's just how long can I sit in this uncomfortable place until I figure it out? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I love that you were like, no, I'm not going that way. I'm going to figure it out another way, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the way that I set out to do it, with the intention and the integrity and the values and the goals that I had in mind from the beginning. It's just going to be seen all the way through with everything that you create. And I think that's something that is worth noting and like just giving yourself a pat on the back for, and for people listening, supporting people and brands like this, because I think that that's just really special. Yeah.
That was really sweet. Thanks.
So tell me a little bit, if I asked you and tried to make this, I like playing like devil's advocate, if you will, but if I said, well, okay, Kaitlin, but aren't there a lot of other like plant-based surfactants and ways to make this happen? What would you say?
I would say that plant-based doesn't mean natural. A lot of things can make that claim. It's actually, I don't know the exact number, but it's a pretty small fraction of the ingredient that actually needs to be derived from a plant for it to be considered plant-based, or derived would be another term that's thrown out there. So we don't mess with those terms. We just look for, okay, is it actually, from the source? Is it cold pressed? Is it, like our tallow we source from a farmer down in the Bay Area. And so we know exactly what that is. Like, we're processing it. So anything that we can do like that, any single ingredients, we don't like a lot of things that have already been combined, and then we're purchasing it because you just don't really know what they're doing. So yeah, what was the original question?
You answered it, and like, okay. and it's something that like I know the answer to, but I know a lot of people listening are learning as they go, and I know because I hear it all the time. Well, it says plant-based, or it says all natural, or it says whatever, and I'm like, oh, you're being so manipulated. And I think that's where, as a consumer, you really need to ask the questions. Like when I'm talking with a brand and I'm asking them about their sourcing, for me, the least number of steps, call it what you want. It's number of steps. I'm trying to think of the word that I'm trying to come up with, but the least, number of steps between where that product came from on this earth and then how it got into that bottle is, I want it to be as little as possible. 100%. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, then I feel so much better about it. But when people say plant-based, and I'm like, that doesn't tell me traceability on everything that your product goes through. So like, tell me the traceability of where it started. Where did that get sourced from, that exact ingredient? First of all, a lot of people have no idea. They're like, let me check on that for you. And I'm like, let me check on that for you? Like, you don't know? So they'll check on it, and then they're like, okay, it's from here. And I'm like, great. Once it starts there, what's the steps it goes through? And then it's this 50-step process to like, oh, now we have it in the bottle. And I'm like, that's a lot of steps for me to like vet and try to go through and see like, if that was done properly.
Yes.
So yours is like, is slim to none there with what you're doing.
No. Yeah. 100%. I agree. We do a lot of vetting ourselves. And so I agree. It's just so much work. I'm like, we don't need to mess with that. Let's just do as much as we can here so that we can control that. And so, and I would also say with plant-based, that not all plants are compatible with your skin. So, just because something is like natural doesn't mean that it's got skin-loving plant fats or extracts. I feel like there's a lot of, like, there's buzz terms, like for a while, everyone really wanted to use like coconut oil, and coconut oil is great. we don't stay away from it. But it might be a little bit irritating for some people. So then you can stay away from that. But it's just the idea that just because something's plant-based, that it's better for you. That's just not true, especially if it's not truly natural. And this new trend of people using more focused on fats that do absorb properly. They're high in good fatty acids and they're closer to your skin. They're more bioidentical fats is what they're called. And so there's going to be a lot less irritation there. So great for sensitive skin, so great for babies. Whereas before I felt like the natural products still weren't necessarily going to like help a rash or help, problematic skin. They could potentially just make it worse. So I feel like, focusing on these bioidentical fats is like the future of skincare. As much as people want to say that medical grade is better or, research back in all of them. And I understand where people are coming from with that. I recently listened to a podcast that was the best stuff that you can get is medical grade. There's so much research behind it. There's so, absolutely nothing can be better. I'm not saying that mine is better and that you're going to have, the exact same results that you would if you use I don't know if I should brand drop, but there's a popular brand, medical grade brand that it really, your skin will look incredible. It basically bleaches your skin though. And so I just think it's super interesting how the narrative has not changed over the years, have kind of got to a place where I feel like women, I know plenty of women who feel like if a product promises certain results, they really don't care at all what's in it because the end result is what they want. And that just makes me really sad because when did that, the priority, I guess, we're being told that if you want to look like this, you need to do this and you should look like this. And so I just feel like I would love to flip that back and be like, oh no, it matters so much what you put on your skin, what you put into your body. It all matters so much more than they're telling you that it does. And you can get good results. You're not sacrificing. It may be a little bit more work, but it's so worth it in my opinion, because that stuff is absorbed all the way into your bloodstream. So I think I went off on a tangent, but
no, that was perfect. And I feel like what you're saying is really important. And it's something that I really want people to understand is that you're taking something like that medical grade skincare, right? Whatever it is. And there's tons of different ones out there, hundreds of thousands, probably, if not more. But you're taking something like that. And I feel like people are so quick to say that something works because it's something that works quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and I'll use something like Ozempic, for example. People are on this train of using Ozempic and they're like, or different peptides for whatever reason. And they're like, it works so well. And I'm like, but you don't understand the repercussions that are going to happen a number of months, years down the line from using that said thing. And that's where I go back to. I keep recycling back to what I believe is the truth. And the truth is that the best long-term sustainable results that do not alter the pathways of which the body has to reroute in order to make things work is going to happen from nature. Not going to happen from a lab. That is my opinion. It's a hill I'm willing to die on because I've seen it. I've seen people use this medical grade skincare, and sure, it might work really great over the months or a year or whatever it is that you use it. But then inevitably what I always see is that people have problems with those things later on down the line. Like you were talking about how it bleaches your skin. And what world do we live in where bleaching your skin that way is something really natural to do? And how do you not believe that that's not going to cause some sort of negative effect later on down the line? And I think it's also giving people this false hope that skincare, while I think that the stuff that you use on your skin is important, it's also making people think that skincare alone is going to solve the problem. As if I told you during that time frame with acne, just throw this on your skin, you'll be fine. That is not the answer. That is not the root cause. So I think so many people are looking for these superficial answers of things to help with the problem, when I'm like, you could do that medical grade, whatever, have that go away and feel like that was the answer, but that's not. And you're going to continue cycling through and having that same problem arise time after time until you get to the root of the problem. So I like that you said that, because I feel like so many people yes, may try to argue, oh, but this is so great, the medical grade, whatever, and it's research backed and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, I've gotten to the point where I'm almost so tired of arguing with people on it that I'm like, you do whatever you want to do. But the hill that I'm willing to die on is the natural one. And it's one where I've not seen any negative side effects take place. Or I guess I should take that back, because you're talking about if I go put like, what's it called on my skin? What is it called? A poison ivy.
Oh, right. Exactly. Totally.
If I go throw a poison ivy on my skin, sure, there's going to be a side effect. But I feel like in general, nature is going to be safer. And yes, there is still a little bit of tweaking and figuring out what works and what doesn't. But at the end of the day, I feel so much safer using that than I do anything that comes from a lab. So there's just too many other variables that come into play when you're like all of a sudden introducing like, synthetic, lab-made chemical skincare. There's already enough variables in nature to try to like figure out what's working. You know what I mean? So to now take it into the lab and say, let's add in a million other variables to figure out what's going to work for people.
Right.
I'm not on board with that. So yeah. But no, I'm glad that you mentioned that. So tell me a little bit about, I want to talk about the soil-based mist, because it's something that really excites me. I don't know how many, I haven't seen a lot of brands that are using this and doing this. What you said that what got your attention with this, where you started to recognize this, was some farmers that were doing something in Texas so tell me a little bit. I want to connect the dots between finding this, recognizing it's something. And then I loved that you said it's like grounding. And I'm like, we need more soil. Like, I think human's dirty, but I connect it the same way. So tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it really started probably over 15 years ago. So really before probiotics were very popular at all. And this specific product is not just probiotics, but we're just going to use that term for simplicity reasons. So this farmer out of Texas, he was harvesting it from his ranch, and he was putting it on other things around his ranch, and he realized that like, wow, these like strawberries like are growing like really well, and I'm not having to use like any pesticides or herbicides. And so I don't want to say it solves all those issues. That's not what I'm saying. He was just noticing, wow, like this is like really beneficial. And so they started marketing it towards farmers, and then they started marketing it towards dairymen as a supplement for their calves, because it was really great for their digestion. And this came after like a lot of testing, realizing like this is what this is good for. And then fast forward a few years, probiotics came on the scene. And after doing a bunch of research, they realized like, this is exactly what this is. And ours is better because it's not freeze-dried. They're live, active cultures that have never been manipulated. And because the problem with a lot of probiotics on the market is that when they're freeze-dried, they can say their count of like, there's this many, live cultures, but those are all been freeze-dried. The studies show that 15% of those will come back to life within your digestion tract. So they realized like, this is superior. Like these are all alive. And so then they started marketing it towards humans. And so these were just two good old boys, they didn't really realize what they had. And so they partnered with a few other brands, and they have since gotten away from consumables. And they're actually really hyper-focused on animals right now and more skin issues. Because of the nature of their product, because it doesn't need to be rehydrated, it's already hydrated, it's ideal for topical use. Because it's already in that mist, or in a liquid form, I should say. So before really they were marketing it towards anybody else's skin, I like to say that this was like the Windex of my family. If you've seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, how the dad would be like, have, a rash, spray some Windex on it. And so that is totally how my dad was. You have any type of ailment, you have anything on your skin, spray some bugs on it. He would call it bugs. And so I knew that it had great benefits for your skin. I hadn't used it specifically on my acne before. I would just use it if I got sunburn or, my kids' diaper rash, like lots of other uses, which I still love all of those uses. And then, yeah, when I started thinking about starting my own brand, I knew I wanted to incorporate it for this purpose of adding life back onto your skin, because this buzzword of regenerative skincare, regenerative farming, I loved this concept, but ultimately it's really difficult to source every single thing to be regenerative because the world just hasn't quite caught up with that yet. And so we can be super picky and, and get everything that we can organically, make sure that everything is raw and as processed as little as possible. But there's certain ingredients that are, may only be available in, a certain part of the world, and they're just not there yet. And so I felt like this was like the definition of the word regenerative and regenerating life. That's where the term comes from. And so by incorporating this into your routine, you're adding so much back to your skin. When your skin's been depleted, you get so many of the same benefits of grounding. I mean, when you spray on yourself, you just feel like, I don't know, it's like an immediate mood booster. And so in the same way that I feel like being outside with your feet in the dirt, like it's just gives you life. Yeah, that's kind of the
there's something to this, and I you don't know until you try it and you feel it is what I would tell someone. Because I feel the same way. And I've been using it myself, and I've been like spritzing it on everybody in my household. Like they'll walk by and I'm just like, oh, you look a little sweaty, or you look a little whatever, and like spray it on them. It's almost like I feel like I'm spraying good energy, because I feel like it is just so, like you said, grounded. And I like that. I feel like I'm taking like soil and like rubbing it in my hands and like, just take it.
Yes.
And so for kids that need this, I feel like there's this, with COVID, it put everybody in this state of like disinfectant mode of like, you got to disinfect everything. And I'm so the opposite. I'm like, no, go get dirty. I saw a video on, I think it was Instagram or something the other day, and I like loved it. I don't know if you shared it. It seems like something you would have shared. But it was like a little baby crawling through the cornfields or something, and the dad was like had like a water hose, like spraying it all over he was all muddy and like crawling through, and they were like, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yes.
Because how many children actually are outside, like, so many parents are like, oh my gosh, you can't let them eat, dirt, or you can't let them like, they'll get sick, or they get so paranoid about germs. So I'm like, no, we need to be out there doing that and getting dirty. And so for me, I just feel like it's a pretty packaged, beautiful bottle and brand that you created of something that actually is, I don't want to say dirty, but you know what I mean when I say it.
Right. It's just raw. Yeah. Like, totally.
Yeah. So, and that's what I love so much about it. So I'm like, obviously a raving fan, why I wanted it in the box, and I just love it. So where do you think that this is going to go, like in the future with skincare and what you're doing?
Yeah, I definitely see like a push towards more raw, natural, and I'm all for it, because just because I make this and it's, got really good things in it for your skin, I believe that it may not work for everybody, and that's okay. So I love the idea of other brands like coming out with other products, other versions. And ultimately it's a free market. And so I just hope that there's more brands that enter the space, or larger brands that decide to higher their standards. I think that would be so great. Like we see that with the banning of the food dye. I know that's just a small thing that needs to change, but I think that is going to be the result of so much good, I hope. And I hope that other brands are watching these smaller brands and people really like trying to go back to the basics. I hope that they see that and decide, like maybe we shouldn't be adding this. Maybe this is harmful. That's where I hope this goes. Maybe it won't go that way. Maybe it will always just be, a separation of those brands and our kind of brand. But I feel like we're just trying to put good, clean, truly clean products into the marketplace. And the truth is, we're just one of those brands, and there's lots to choose from. And I hope and pray that that market just continues to grow, and so that it's available for more and more people to try and see the benefits of it for themselves.
Well, I feel like there's always there's always gonna be a divide, but what I mean is like the unseen divide of like good and evil, and people think like, okay, you're talking about skincare, guys, like how are you gonna talk about good and evil? You know what I mean? But I'm like, no, seriously, think about it. There's people in corporate greed that will use and manipulate. We've seen it already with marketing terms because they'll see consumer demand and they'll be like, okay, they demand this, except that costs more and that eats into our costs, and we don't want to create things that are that great because we make less as the big conglomerate. So what they'll do is they'll get really crafty with their manipulation on their marketing and what they do. So that way, I mean, it's lying, it's deceitful. So they'll do whatever they can to make it seem like they're doing good. Like I saw a brand the other day that I talked about, a big celebrity brand that made something that's in Target now. And I was so frustrated because I was like, people are
talking about.
Yeah, people are like, ooh, we have another like, I'll just say protein popcorn is what it was.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Popcorn. And I'm like, dude, guys, like, do you realize that product, because they're touting it as like, oh, it's like all single ingredients that and I'm like, do you not realize that you cannot, if I called that company right now and said, I want to know where you're tracing everything from, they wouldn't even know because they're getting it from so many different places and there's so many eyes that are not looking at every step of the way. It's that traceability again that I'm sorry, it's not an exceptional product. And I also, if we were talking from a health standpoint, would be like, why is it that everything has to be protein? Protein. If you want protein,
just
go eat a piece of steak, go have some real protein.
Yes.
And then when you want a snack that's going to be, if you want a carb, then go have some fruit or go have, you know what I mean? Like some potatoes or whatever. My thing is that people have gotten so hyper focused on packaged snacks and like rearranging and manipulating them to make it to fit and we as consumers are also a part of the problem because we're buying into this. We're like, well, we're buying into it mentally, like with what we like our beliefs of like, oh, that's better for us. But we're also buying into it, like literally, physically with our money. Like, yes, I'm going to pay for this and give it to my kids and let this enter my household. And I'm like, guys, it's time to start questioning a little bit more what you're bringing into your household. And I'm sorry, like for me, I just get so turned off and I've gone through my own journey, my own evolution. So there was a time where I probably would have seen that and been like, oh, yay, this is a win. I'm so excited. Protein popcorn that looks healthy. However, we have to start asking better questions. And I've gotten to the point, over the last 8-10 years, whatever it is, where I've started to like pause and reflect and ask myself, I want to know where this really comes from. I really want to begin to better understand what I'm eating and what I'm giving to my kids because we're seeing society get sicker and sicker and sicker. And I want to know why. I want to get to that root cause that I was talking about. And so I think it's time for us as parents to start evaluating. And I say parents because I think there's a different level of depth and care around things when you're a parent. And when it's just you, it's like, if I mess myself up, it is what it is. But when you start caring for others, and only mothers know what that feels like. But when you start caring for others, you're like, I have to do better for them. Like I have to be able to figure this out. And it's funny because when you're sick and you have something going on, and I know this just from my own experience, that I'm less likely to try to figure out what's going on with me. But if something's wrong with my kid, I'm like, what's going on? I have to figure this out,
Yeah, so true.
So it's just so crazy to me, but I would love to think that you're right, that the big companies would be like, this is such a great idea. People are being like, but it's not a new thing. Like being an integrous person, someone that lives in integrity and does things where they know that they're willing to cut their bottom dollar and like make a little less because they want to give something that's better to someone else. They want to serve humanity in a different way. That is not who they are. Like, that's just not who these companies are.
So true.
And so, it's just not going to happen. And that's why I'm so like hell bent on getting all of these small brands that are doing incredible things out there because I don't want, and I'm not supporting the big brands anymore. I'm just kind of over it. And like, people would probably tell me, well, Michelle, you still go to Target. And I'm like, I do go to Target on occasion. But guess what, guys? Like I'm kind of at this place. I told my husband this the other day. There needs to be something that enters the picture that is better. And right now, it's like when you go out and you want to go on a fun little like venture through the shopping store, you go to the Target because that's what there is. We've allowed that as consumers, So I feel like the future is coming where there's going to be better options, and Target is going to be, this is just my vision, Target is going to be replaced with things that you can actually walk in and feel really good being there, not just from the environment that they create, how it's fun to walk through Target and it's that joke, you never know what you're going to come out with. It's like, I think that you can have the best of both worlds. We can have a Target or something that feels like that you love, just walking through and spending half a day there, just like wandering around, but also leave and know that everything that you're bringing home is something that's contributing and adding value to your family, not taking away from it. It's not plastic filled and chemical filled and built from companies that don't care about you. So I just feel like a shift is coming, and I'm here for it. But Kaitlin, it's happening because of people like you. It's happening because of people that are sitting and holding the line with something that they've created, saying we're not going to bend no matter what. So I want to encourage you, not that you needed the encouragement, but encourage you to stay and hold that line as long as it takes, because I feel like your time and the time of so many brands across the nation, across the world right now that are doing it right, they've probably been sitting here being like, why haven't I made it into these big stores, or why haven't I done it this way? And I don't think that you're meant to. I don't think that you're meant to get in those big stores, because those are not the big stores that I would be proud to be in anymore. Like, to be quite honest, I know that the whole thing is like, I want to make it into Target one day. And I'm like, how about we recreate and have something other than Target and have it be completely built on integrity and being better?
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is, like, of course, yes, like you touched on that would be a goal, but ultimately my product doesn't belong on a shelf like Target, because like it's not meant to be shelf stable for a really long time. Like, I don't want to send them, this huge amount of product in it sit there and they just restock and me just not really have any control over that quality, and I'm not going to change my formulas to be more shelf stable. The intention is that they're raw and that they are, because they don't contain those kinds of preservatives, that they do have a shelf life, and that's okay. Like, I don't want to change things in pursuit of something that would just bring me success when it would just compromise on the values of the brand. And so I feel like I've changed my goals, to kind of redefine, what success really looks like within the space that I'm in. And I think that there's absolutely like level for growth and still without breaking, our brand standards. But that's not really in the cards, because they're too big and they don't care. They would not, if I said, my product requires this, or I need you to tell, they would be like, I'm sorry, what? And they would kick me to the curb, because they're not there for the little guy, at all.
People need to start thinking not bigger. They need to start thinking smaller. It's not, you can't have a brand that is so exceptional the way that you have something with yours, and then expect to serve every person in the US, or like millions and millions of people. It's just not going to happen. And when I say to you, you got to scale and you got to serve millions of people with this product, all of a sudden crap, hits the fan, and you're not able to keep control of all the things that are so well done to begin with. And I think that's where people feel, because this is not truth. This is where all of a sudden greed enters the picture of like, I want to make more, so I'm going to sacrifice, make it, where millions of people can be served, and I'm going to be the one, sitting in my pile of cash. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I think that people can have the best of both worlds. I think that you can grow and scale and be so financially in abundance, but do it the right way. And I think that's where the people that are, I keep saying, like holding the line, the people that are sitting tight saying, no, we're going to do it the right way. I think that it's now their time where people are going to want that and seek that out. I was thinking while you were talking, you added ACB to your mist recently. There was a recent ad. Tell us a little bit about why you did that and what that's doing.
So the reason why we started doing it actually is the guy who I get the product from and harvest it. We have a very close relationship, and so he's willing to really do whatever I request. And so he's gone through some phases where he's tried other things, and I've just said, you know what, my customer is not going to want that. I know that technically it's okay to have citric acid in it, but that's not, like, I don't want that. And so technically he doesn't need to put anything in it, but he has a lot of people over him that they don't like. Basically, the product is single ingredient in that it's water. And so that doesn't look great when you're not adding anything else to it. They just assume that it's going to grow a ton of bacteria. You need to add something to it to help combat that. No matter how much he says, I don't, Like it just doesn't look good on paper because it's free water, or free water as in that it's free water that's available for bacteria to grow. And he's like, no, it's not really available. There's so much living in it. It's not available water for other things to grow. There's so much good in it that nothing else can grow. And so to appease them, he has tried adding all natural things, just things that I said, you know what, I would just prefer if you just left it out. Like for my uses, like I don't care. I can 100% trust it without anything in it. You just send it to me raw. So sorry, there's a fly. Fast forward, I noticed that after about like 6 months, which really technically I say that the product is only shelf stable for 6 months. I probably shouldn't say this on air, but that's really not true. You could use it much longer than that. But at about 6 months, it started to grow algae, which ironically, I intentionally infused one of my other products with algae. Like it's incredibly beneficial, but it doesn't look great. Like it's not like
The bottle.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a little bit deterring. And so I was like, you know what? We need to figure out something that we can do with this. I don't want it to just be an additive. I want it to be something that's beneficial, but something that's going to help keep that at bay and potentially keep any other bacteria at bay. And so we just settled on apple cider vinegar, a raw with the mother apple cider vinegar, just ups the pH, lowers the pH enough to keep all of that at bay, but not too low to where it's going to irritate your skin. So, and I've actually noticed that I think I like it more. So definitely didn't compromise there. It was just something that we felt like, and it honestly is such a small amount, but yeah, I just felt like this is something that we need to do for our customers. I don't want them to feel like the product is spoiled or that they can't use it anymore because it's growing this, because it totally is safe. It just looks bizarre. You're like, what is that?
I'm someone who obviously that's how I know that I've like grown into a totally different person than I was like a month ago, because I hear that kind of stuff and I'm like, ooh, I'm excited. Like, I'm waiting for the day I could use it when it's like that. So,
I actually
think the same way.
When I first saw it, I was like, that's so cool. Like, this is like this life, like this is like so cool. And yeah, meanwhile, we have a body oil that I infuse with algae. And so I'm like, it's not bad. It's really good for your skin, but I don't want people to feel icky about it. So
yeah,
we fixed it.
Well, what's next for Kalos? Like, what is it that you're dreaming of that you want to do next? And I'm like someone, if you don't want to share secrets, then that's fine. I'm so the opposite. I'm like, I've gotten to the point where I realize I don't want to hold on to anything. And if someone has an idea and wants to run with it too, and they can do it just as good, great. We need more people in the world doing that. But I would love for you to share if you have anything coming down the pipeline, things that you would love to do, things that. And it may not be something that's like currently in the works, but you're like, it's on my vision board. I want it. I want to do it.
Yeah. So I would say in the near future, we have some things that are on the horizon, and then we have dreams, but we have a few new products launching coming up. One of them is our deodorant. I'm so excited. This has been a long time coming. I know there's so many natural deodorants on the market, and truly I felt like I had tried pretty much all of them and had not had like great results. And so I've honestly just stayed away from it, thinking like, if no one else has made one that works like for me, like why would I be able to? Like going back to like the medical grade skin, you start to feel like, oh, who am I? And I just started working on it probably 6 months ago, just trying everything that no one else was trying. A lot of the same things, but incorporating other things that I knew, knowing the things that I know that would be beneficial, including some like enzymes and probiotics, because I do my deodorant like now as like a 2-step. I do the grounding spray or the skin regen under my arms, and then I put deodorant on, and I noticed like my natural deodorant that wasn't working very well started working. And so I was like, well, how can I combine these? Because once again, the product is water-based and then deodorant is not water-based. And so to combine those things was not possible. So I couldn't combine that specific product, but the concept of this product, something that has live cultures in it, enzymes, decided to add those along with some other really great ingredients. And I'm so happy with it. I'm just like so excited. It's going to be like a cream base because I feel like an issue that I have with a lot of deodorants, natural deodorants, is because they don't have any synthetic ingredients. they have to make the stick so firm in order for it to stay in a stick form. But then under your arm, it can be like really sticky, or like when you put it on it, yeah, it's just like not very, I don't know, luxurious to feel. I don't know. And the baking soda that's in it can be irritating and scratchy. And so I tried my best to make it a stick, and I just felt like, no, I feel like this is one of the issues and why it didn't work for me, and maybe why other people are deterred from it. I know there's other natural creams on the market. So we settled on putting it in a tube, and it comes with like a really pretty like gua sha tool to put it on, and which helps with lymphatic drainage. So it's like a win-win, and it smells so good, like citrusy, fresh, and like it will keep you fresh all day. I have like all of, people close to me testing it out for me, and we are getting nothing but like rave reviews. So I'm so excited about that. It might be out by the time this podcast comes out.
Ooh, okay.
And then we're also doing a cherry drop to highlight the cherry season in the valley. So we incorporated some cherry extracts, and we have like a tart cherry face mask coming out that's got like magnesium and tart cherry.
Oh,
and yes, really exciting. And then like dreams down the road, I see growth in our future for sure. And I pray for like a day that I can build like a facility on our property. We have a small ranch here in the Central Valley. And so, but there's definitely space for that. And so I have dreams of building a shop out here, and being able to hire, maybe other moms or young girls who are passionate about this or just need like something on the side. I just see creating like a culture. I also would love to open a spa of some kind where we use only like the rawest and natural ingredients, and so you can leave truly feeling like well and rejuvenated. And we have I live in a small town, so we don't have stuff like that. And so I feel like it's what our town needs, and I would just love to be able to bring it here. So yeah,
we need more things like that. Like part of what I am doing with Well House is, and you may already know this, but I'm not just highlighting brands that are doing things exceptionally. I'm highlighting farms, and I'm highlighting spas and restaurants, and like people all across the U.S. that are just doing things exceptionally. There's a new grill that opened up in California. I'm not in the California area, so I can't tell you whereabouts it is exactly, but it's Southern California somewhere. But it's called Tallow Grill. Have you heard of it?
Tallow Grill?
Mm-hmm.
No.
But I tell you what, like I'm going to get them on the podcast. So that's exciting. No matter what I have to do, because I have a connection now. Another guy that I brought on the podcast knows them personally. And I was like, I want them on the podcast, but they do things. This is what I'm talking about with like thinking through every little microscopic, just like every detail that I so appreciate. And I know people like you do too, is that even what he was posting on his Instagram, like today or yesterday, he was talking about even the stones. He's like, guys, do you realize that in restaurants, what they use to like scrub off the grill and how it's fiberglass, normally like fiberglass. And he's like, so that's normally what you have in your food. He's like, we're doing it with this pumice stone. And he talks about like why they're doing it that way versus the fiberglass so even to what they clean their grills with,
That's
they're
so
thinking
cool.
about, they only cook in stainless steel, and they're very particular about the materials that they cook in and what they do. And even their water on like opening day, they have like a reverse osmosis in their restaurant or wherever they are. And it like broke down or something. And so they went in and they bought like a bunch of the Mountain Valley Spring. So they could, and they were using it to actually like cook in. So it wasn't like water that was for customers, it's for cooking in it. And I'm like, you guys have thought about everything. And and obviously the basics like organic and local and regenerative and things like that, they've thought of, but they go above and beyond. And I'm like so excited for people to like see businesses and brands that are doing things like no one else is. Like I think that what you're doing is just so unique and so cool. And I obviously have an extreme appreciation for the aesthetics of Kalos too, because I'm so like bougie. I like things to look nice and feel nice. So you've just done such an exceptional job with building what you have. And I'm literally, when I say that I'm excited, I'm not saying it because you're just like a guest on the podcast. I'm saying it because you're a brand You're a brand that I've wanted here because of how exceptional you are. So I'm just so excited. I'm excited for everything that you have coming down the pipeline. I'll be, of course, buying all of it. I'm so excited. And yeah, where can people find you online? I don't know if you have anything outside of Instagram, but tell us where people can find you, your website, Instagram, and whatever else.
So our Instagram, you can find us at the Kalos Co. And then we do have a TikTok. I think that the handle is at kalos.co. And then you can shop all of our line thekalosco.com. And I think that's it.
Okay. And I know that eventually the statement that I would get from people is like, we have all these amazing brands and we love like supporting them, but it's hard to go. Cause I think I told you the whole reason I have the marketplace is because people are like, I love it, but I'm having a hard time keeping up with 15, 20 different brands to go into their sites and support. So if you do hear this and you feel like you have that overwhelm of like, I want to support it and I want to do it, know that Kalos Co is going to be on the Well House marketplace too. So you'll be able to go there and do repeat orders if you got the box and you love it, which I know you will. So there's that as well.
Hey, yeah, we're so excited to be featured in the marketplace and in the box.
I'm just thrilled. And I think I told you too that like I feel like God really like set everything in motion for me from the beginning, but I feel like he's also orchestrated everybody that I've come into contact with. And I feel like that's been a really cool thing. It's almost like, I say you should feel really honored because I feel like God's just like, no, that's the one. You're going to put this brand in the box. This is the one that I want in there. And I feel like it's been this really cool thing that's been completely orchestrated. And I think a lot of growing, scaling businesses have felt that anxiety of making all the business decisions big and small and like wondering if they're going to make it the next month and if people are going to purchase and whatever. I have literally had so much peace with this, but I feel like it's because I'm partnering with people that I believe. It's like, you can doubt yourself. You know what I mean? I can doubt myself and think, am I capable of this? Am I able to do this? But I feel like my doubt is like wiped because I have so much belief in the people that I'm working with, the people and the brands that I'm partnering with, that like that covers it. Well,
You're so sweet.
I just love what you are doing. I love what I'm doing now because I get to work with and have these podcasts and these conversations and highlight exceptional brands with I say exceptional products. It goes beyond that. Just like people who think through things that I'm just like amazed. I'm like, this is what God created our creativity for, is for things that you're doing. And I'm just excited. So thank you.
So honored. We feel so honored to be asked and we're so excited.
Thank you for being on here, and everyone go check them out, and we will see you on the next one, and go support Kalos Co.
Bye.